Welcome back, everyone. It is the Pleb Underground. I've got, I'd say, some very good friends to the show, some very old friends to fill in the Bitcoin space. That's right. I've got the meme factory, the infamous meme factory, joining me on the stream. We are going to get into some really interesting topics. As you guys know, or you don't, we're going to talk about the Jack Mallers stuff. We're going to make fun of some shitcoining stuff. And we're going to take a tally. We're going to take a tally of how the Bitcoin companies, the public Bitcoin companies are doing. And as well, I think we're also going to talk about some of the sentiment around the samurai situation. But before we do that, and before we get to the guests, that's right, we got to show some love to the sponsors. All right, we'll be right back, guys. Here we go. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. They make absolutely beautiful Bitcoin branded products. They just dropped their first one. It is the solid aluminum Bitcoin clock. I had to get my hands on it so that I could show it to you guys. Take a look. Really, really nice piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Head on over to archemp.co. The link is going to be in the show notes. That is Archimedes Emporium. Head on over there. I don't have an actual ad read for this or anything. It just says T. Selly says, "Fuck you, Greg." I love that. I love that. All right, guys, we are back. That's right, Greg. It's only fitting that we have the meme factory on this stream while we are doing ads for our dear friend T. Selly. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Pleb Underground. Sorry?
Thanks for
felt like a personal attack.
It kind of is. It was so funny because when he approached me, he was like, I just want to say fuck the whole entire month of April. That was it. That's all he wanted. He just wanted fug the whole month. And I said, I will do it. No problem. Nice. We figured you'd appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
I certainly appreciate it. It's fun to see.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, guys. So for the people, for the people who don't know, I'd like each of you guys to introduce yourselves before we dive into the topics. So I guess we'll start with Greg. It's on my screen. Yeah, Greg is to the upper right.
Hey, for those who don't know me, I am on Twitter at GregZadge1. I make memes and drop Bitcoin news, and then usually once a week, me and the fellows that are here with us today do a live podcast for an hour talking about Bitcoin and memes and the financial world.
Very nice, very nice. All right, Yellow. Introduce yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, hello. I'm Yellow, and I do stuff, and one time I had one piece of sparacopita, and it really stuck in my tooth, between my teeth, and I was trying to take it out, but then I was realized do I have to take it out, or will it be life will take it out itself, in the end? And why worry so much? So
sorry.
Where was I?
You were essentially explaining a story of patience, and a story of
Whoa. That also, and be good,
Save that. Thank you, Yellow. All right, next, what was that, Greg?
That was my Labra Huddle coaster. It says.
And why do you have the Pleb Underground background? So you've got Labra and you've got the Pleb Underground. I feel like I'm an outsider to my own show, genuinely.
It's a secret how I got this.
It's a secret how you got it. And it's also backwards. So just FYI.
Well, it's showing right on the stream.
Yeah, it's not on my end. Anyways, you're going to want to mirror that, but it's okay.
You mirror. You do the mirroring.
You know what? I appreciate your troubleshooting. Greg saved the stream because Phil's an idiot. All right, next plan, Marcus. I think I was calling him Plan Marcus for like 3 years.
You can just call me Marcus. Everybody calls me Marcus. The plan, you can leave it away. Okay. I usually don't do anything. I just sit in the background of the meme factory in the back of the van and let Greg do the driving and Yellow make the jokes. So I used to make some memes. It's funny. One video meme is now that the price is pumping is going again. So that's kind of funny to see. I guess that's my only small little contribution. Other than that, since I escaped the fiat matrix living in Bali, I don't really make a lot of memes anymore. So maybe I should get kicked out of the meme factory. I don't know. But yeah, that's that.
I'm not even part of the meme factory, and I say no to that.
Yeah, definitely
like,
no.
come on, man, you kidding me? You know how hard it is to get a meme that comes back? Like when come on, you kidding me?
If anyone's gonna be kicked out, it's gonna be MTC.
Why? Just because.
Come on, guys.
I was firing. It's like a joke. I fire the guy all the time.
Eastside Tony's firing shots here. Guys, remember Chair Force? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Always in our hearts and in our eyes.
Chair Force. All right, guys. Let's we got the introductions out of the way. Let's get to the hard topics here. The very, very hard topics. So last week I was fortunate enough to be on your show. You guys, for whatever reason, invited me on and decided to lose viewers, and I appreciate that. And in doing so, we were talking about MSTR, right? We were talking about strike and all of this crap. And I was explaining this thing, right? About what happens when a better company comes along. We're just gonna, we're gonna start with that, and I'm just gonna play a part of this stream.
You manifested it. Yeah.
Did I? I don't think so. I just
absolutely.
It's just because we're plebs. It's because we're plebs, and we're not part of the circle jerk. So we see this shit. We see through all of this crap. Anyways, here we go. I'm lying. It's not here we go. First, I have to share the screen. I got to find the screen. I'm new to StreamYard. I suck at this.
3, 2, 1. Here we go again.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Here we go again. All right, round 2. Hey, look, and you all stayed on the screen this time. Okay.
Hey.
So I'm a professional. Here we go, guys. You know that as a shareholder, you don't want to get diluted. Like, it's really nice that he's buying Bitcoin, but you don't want your shares to be diluted. So that is not very enticing. Okay, so we've got that scenario, right? Because they don't actually earn enough money. And the only way that they're buying Bitcoin is by issuing new debt. Okay, so we've got that aspect of it. What happens when the Microsofts of the world, and this is what I've said before, this is my whole argument, what happens when the higher quality companies that don't need to sell shares to keep the lights on, what happens when they start accumulating Bitcoin? Where is your premium on MicroStrategy? Yeah, it's so sweet. Anyways, all right. So with that being said, wait, does somebody want to make a comment first before we move into Jack Mahler's announcement and his comment? Anybody have anything to say?
What is it, like
nailed it.
We are the reactionist YouTubers now.
Yep, that's right. We do a whole bunch of shit here, man. We do everything. I throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. Okay.
Later we're doing an unboxing.
That's right. And then after that, we're gonna go scare some people in public and get arrested.
Yes.
Yeah, views. Okay. Anyways, so all right. So no comments now. Jack Mahler's big announcements. Public company, right? He's got the backing of SoftBank, and he's got the backing of Cantor Fitzgerald and the Tether Mafia. I mean, Tether. And so now that's all coming together. It's going to be a public company, right? Called 21 or ticker XXI. So let's just listen to what Jack Mahler's had to say about this.
BPS stands for Bitcoin per share, as opposed to earnings per share. And the other is BRR, which stands for Bitcoin return rate. And my job and what I'm dedicated to do for our shareholders, in which we view similar to our customers, is grow our Bitcoin per share. So we're an operating company. And when you buy a share of 21, in a hypothetical sense, what we intend to do is, let's say our Bitcoin per share is 0.05. Our intent is to be able to grow that to 0.06 Bitcoin per share, 0.07 Bitcoin per share. Where a vehicle like an ETF, your exposure is static. So 21's an operating business, and we will be building Bitcoin products, Bitcoin operative cash flow, and then using the capital markets to accretively grow the Bitcoin on our balance sheet. So we want our shareholders to get wealthier, get richer in Bitcoin terms, and our metrics encourage the market to view us not in fiat terms, in Bitcoin terms, because we're not here to necessarily beat the market. We're here to build a new one and encourage the world to adopt Bitcoin in a sense that we believe it hasn't yet.
But Jack, you already have a Bitcoin product, and it's Strike.
Yes.
And it's where people can buy, sell, store their crypto. What happens to that? Are you still going to be leading that business?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of both companies. We're actually disclosing today at Strike some of our financials. So Strike, immensely profitable. We have over 20% EBITDA margin, 85% gross profit margin. We have only 75 employees. So on a gross or net profit per employee basis, we got to be one of, if not, the biggest in the Bitcoin space in that regard. And so it's an incredibly strong business. It's doing well. I'm so proud of the employees and our investors and thankful for our customers. And Caroline, you can just do things, and I'm going to lead both businesses. I truly believe my purpose on this planet is to try and help Bitcoin have a chance to change the world in what I believe is the right direction, and I think Strike and 21 both independently work towards that.
Jack, you have plans to raise capital, and I guess not just like as a one-off, over time raise capital, right? How will that work in practice? What mechanisms will you use? And a lot of people that watch the show ask if they're not registered institutional investors, how can they participate in that?
Yes. I thought for a second you were going to offer me some money to buy some Bitcoin.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm kidding, man.
Go with my actual question.
No,
yeah.
Totally. So listen, we are hopeful to have our shares listed on a stock exchange under the ticker XXI. Today, we are trading under CEP, which Caroline mentioned is our Cantor Equity Partners, and that stock is trading in live today. If it's successfully merged upon closing, it will be XXI. We do intend to raise as much capital as we possibly can to acquire Bitcoin. Again, my one rule to my shareholders is it will be accretive. Our Bitcoin per share will grow. We will never have Bitcoin per share negative. At least that's our intent. Our intent is to make sure that when you're a shareholder of 21, that you're getting wealthier in Bitcoin terms, and that's my job as a CEO to deliver that. So we plan on raising capital in all different type of sectors and markets and really blending Bitcoin and incorporating it in the traditional financial system to deliver a powerful equity to the public markets for Bitcoiners.
Is that the selling point versus ETFs? Because you came up with this idea over the course of years. And since that time, there's not just been strategy that you can invest in or block, but you can get spot Bitcoin ETFs. Yeah. What's the upside? And in fact, a viewer from Bloomberg's asking, how can you have more BIPs than an ETF? Right, okay. So I gotta be clear, I'm not preaching a future that I can promise. This is hypothetical and this is our intent. Somewhere my lawyers are like, that's our guy, right? But our intent, Caroline, is that when you buy a share of 21, and let's say that's 0.005 Bitcoin per share, we go out and we intend to close deals, build products, add Bitcoin to our treasury to where in which you get a press release and you say, wow, 21's Bitcoin per share grew from 0.05 to 0.06. I just got more Bitcoin exposure. I got wealthier in Bitcoin terms just by being a shareholder of this company. An ETF is not an operating company. IBIT isn't outgrowing your exposure to Bitcoin. It's a static exposure through their security instrument. Whereas for us, we're a business. I'm a CEO. Right. I get up, I work every day to grow how much Bitcoin your share represents on our balance sheet. That's the big difference.
Okay. I appreciate you guys' patience, but everybody, it's like we had to sit through that so that we got his full comments, because it does matter, right? It does make a difference, his framing, right? If you don't kind of understand what he's doing there, but in my eyes, he took, this is just like a direct shot to MSTR, and I think, I actually think that it's a no-brainer for Strike, because he essentially dodged the question. He essentially dodged and turned the question over. So I think that it's a no-brainer move for Strike to simply get merged into 21. It's already a profitable business. It already has cash flow. It already has an entire structure. It's already run by him. So already that immediately becomes a vehicle for them to accumulate Bitcoin through this new venture without having to dilute their shareholders. And just to, just to be clear, right? Like, you got to repeat it a million times, because God forbid you say something positive about, the fiat system. Like, unfortunately, this is just part of hyper Bitcoinization. It's plain and simple, right? Where there's going to be people like there's going to be businesses that we think suck, or businesses that we think shouldn't, or maybe that we don't like what they're doing. And guess what? They're going to be smart enough to stack Bitcoin. They're going to be resilient enough to be able to hold it through downturns, and they're going to become more profitable. This is the point, right? Bitcoin is for enemies. Anyways, your guys, thoughts on all of this, the Jack Mahler stuff. Who wants to go first?
I have thoughts. I gotta wait to hear from you guys before I dump, though.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Who wants to go first? Yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you want to talk about this.
Go Yellow.
So obviously, there's a little side to this new development. There's a side to the side that, like, finally we have a decent, like, opponent, versus, like, force against MicroStrategy, and what that applies to, like, what that will bring to us, like, what will happen, how MicroStrategy and Sailor we combat that. Obviously, there's a side that I think we us here care more is critiquing the new kind of product again, a new product that is, like, based in old fiat mentality. Again, it's not a project around custody, self-custody. It's not around a project around decentralization. It's not a project around empowering the individual. For us, I feel it's a product that targets, like, a group that is the typical stock trader dude from Wall Street. And of course, you have also the side that is the reaction from the plebs that we're seeing. Like, some of them are for it, some of them are against it. And the arguments there are really funny to me. It's like I've been memeing those arguments before those guys made it, like, months back. Like, today, some of us that have been critiquing the new project from Mahler's called us, like, commie. They called us commies, which is not the point. You can do whatever you want with your money, buy Bitcoin in whatever kind of vehicle you want to. What are we critiquing is that basically that vehicle called MicroStrategy or 21, like, it's not real Bitcoin. It's like paper Bitcoin. You won't have your keys, and it defies the whole point of Bitcoin, basically, for us at least. That's the critique, basically, right? So, other than that, we're not against, like, exploring new ways to have exposure to Bitcoin, right? Like, I don't feel like we are against that. I don't know. It's like, love it or hate it, it's like a big announcement. It's like a big thing that happened. It's gonna change. It's gonna change a lot of things, I feel.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's so going to Isai Tony's point here about Whitney Webb and Mark Goodwin's head are exploding somewhere right now. I mean, look, they've been explaining how Tether is, like, working its way into the financial system, right? Here also, I mean, I've explained multiple times in different clips where nobody cares, right? Nobody cares that Tether has $80 billion of U.S. treasuries and that they're playing this game better than anyone else. And then they act all surprised, right, when all these deals come through. Anyways, I guess we'll go to, I know Greg wants to wait till everybody gets their say on this before he dumps on it all. I mean, gives his take. But Marcus, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, I don't have any brilliant thoughts. I usually just like let this news play out. I love watching Twitter at these kind of times and just see all the pros and cons come by, and people saying that Jack Mullers is part of a CIA, we're being co-opted and all that stuff. And the other side of the coin, yeah, I kind of agree with it. It's kind of like okay, we all know. Remember El Salvador? You had to have somebody like Bukele being able to do it. We needed that with company level adoption, like a guy like Michael Saylor, perfect position to do it. With like his controlling shares, Bitcoiner, and able to move like that. Now we've got a second one, I guess, with Jack Mallers. Also, yeah, whether it's strike or not in the background, it's it's part of like what you started out with, Phil. It's like what hyper Bitcoinization will look like, right? And maybe Microsoft will be there somewhere down the line, but for now, it's just 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 still only Michael Saylor and Jack Mahler. So until we really see other huge stock traded companies start pricing their shares in Bitcoin, because that's actually what it is, right? It's like shifting your monetary unit from USD to Bitcoin. If you want to look at it as a vehicle, I'm going to buy it because it's going to go up or something, I'm going to get more Bitcoin on my Bitcoin, then I think you're looking at it all wrong. I mean, just buy fucking Bitcoin. It's just what we're seeing is like other companies starting to denominate into the best money that there is. And that's how you should be looking at it. And that's what hyper Bitcoinization should look like, in my opinion. And obviously also, like your little mom and pop shop down the road should be doing the same thing. And I guess as Bitcoiners, why not applaud that? But selling your Bitcoin to try and buy this stock, that's not how I look at it. I think you're going to get wrecked, and that I don't think it's a good idea. Why would you give up your self-sovereignty, give up your keys to own some paper Bitcoin? I mean, I think that's where most people go wrong, and a lot of people get greedy in this time in the market when it comes to all the MicroStrategy products. That's where I'm at right now. So yeah, we'll see. I'm also still a little bit, like, okay, now it's Jack Mahler, so it's not really, is it really that big of a news? Maybe it is the new direction we're heading into, but until we really see some kind of like Main Street players doing this, then wake me up then. I'll
Wait,
pass it on to
Cantor
Greg for that.
Fitzgerald and SoftBank aren't mainstream players?
Yeah, maybe, but it's a SPAC, like I'm not some
I know
genius, but for most people, it's like very fringe. It's not very. It's like it's news that will not make it to the normie coffee coffee machine talk at work, if you know what I mean.
And he sees he brings no value to
water
the
cooler
investor.
talk.
I understand smart shit like that.
On that,
I know, right?
on that last argument of Marcus, I have to point out that we first met those guys, and we, let's say, grew up with those guys as Bitcoiners. We don't realize that those guys are now bigger entities in the financial world.
Yeah,
Like
that's great.
they might have started as Bitcoiners, but with like Tether and Strike, like they have become like little powerhouses
Right?
in the not only in the Bitcoin world, but like in the whole financial world. Like they are very profitable. They're very lean companies, both, and they're not just Bitcoiners anymore. They're like bigger fishes. They grew up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just natural evolution, like that's really what it is, and we're experiencing growing pains. Greg, give your what's your rundown on this whole situation?
Well, I love Jack Mahler's. One of the best jobs ever. I was memeing at Strike. He was a great boss. It was fucking awesome. I think this is a good thing for Bitcoin. I think having another big Bitcoin buyer is good for price appreciation. And I think there's going to be more media appearances. I think that's good for Bitcoin, getting more attention in the media. what is rubbing me the wrong way is that everybody is focusing on like the wrong thing here, and it keeps getting moved over. Like, and even Jack was kind of like steering the conversation away from this one point he keeps making, and it's in the pitch deck too, where they're talking about when he talks about taking 0.06 Bitcoin per share and growing that to 0.07, then doesn't explain how, other than using the market, or in the pitch deck saying actively managing the Bitcoin. And what I assume that means is it's going to be something along the lines of what, like, of the Black-Scholes trade. Are you familiar with that? Or a carry trade? You familiar with a carry trade?
It sounds familiar, but if you can explain a little bit.
Explain it to me like I'm 5, Greg.
All right. So if you can buy candy bars at your store, right, for $1, and a town over, they sell that same candy bar for $1.20. You go buy it at your store, you walk to the other town, you sell it for $1.20, and you pocket the difference. It's a no risk, very low reward strategy. It's called a Black-Scholes trade. It is something made famous by a company called Long-Term Capital Management, where after the fall of the Soviet Union, they were taking American loans at low interest rate and packaging that and purchasing Russian debt, which was a higher yielding asset, and then like pocketing the difference. But it doesn't make a lot of money if you do it, at the scale of here's the money, do the thing, to take that money. It makes a lot of money when you lever it up 50 to 100 times. And that's the process that gets everybody in trouble. I mean, we've seen leverage wreck companies and plebs over and over and over again. And this just looks like another leverage trap to me. It looks like, I mean, I'm invoking FTX and BlockFi here, like that's going to happen, but like playing with leverage gets you wrecked. And they're avoiding saying what they're doing to grow your stack for a reason. And I think they're doing some variation of the Black-Scholes trade, a carry trade, and I think they're going to be running similar risks, and they're not disclosing that. That bugs me.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, right? Like Jack Mallers was always somebody who would be not your keys, not your coin, and now he's going to have to like kind of just talk over that, right? So, I mean, same thing with the whole MSTR stuff. So, yeah, just don't know. All right. Yeah. That.
Oh, I think I think you both make valid points. I mean, in all fairness, there's been a few things that he said. I mean, I remember being at Bitcoin 2022, where he made the massive announcement that we were going to have Lightning at like every terminal. And now it's just, haystack.gif, right? Like you're just not, you're not seeing any of that. Like it's nothing. It's not there. So, okay, fine. Like I get that. Now, to your point though, Greg, about the levering up, this is where I kind of think that, like, okay, how about this? Tinfoil hat takes aside, right? Like about like, his grandfather's starting Chicago, CBOE and everything like that, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and whatnot. But I kind of feel that he's looked at what Saylor is doing, and he's maybe figured out that he could actually just he can essentially do Saylor's version better by not diluting. Yeah, exactly, right? Like he can do it without diluting shareholders as much. Now, when I was when I was listening through and reading through some of the press release under CEP's ticker, he was explaining how if the deal goes through, it's going to value the business at about $3.6 billion, but he's also going to get $585 million. And slightly different than Saylor's language in his filings, he's essentially he's saying that they might buy Bitcoin, whereas Saylor outright says, yeah, we're raising this money and we're just buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin and paying daily operations. So I'd like to believe that he's going to try, or he's going to do this without punishing his shareholders. But again, this speech that he just gave is a great way to lure money in in the first couple of weeks. And let's be honest, right? If you were looking at that stock, I mean, it's up over 100% in less than 48 hours. And of course, I'm not telling anybody to buy that shit because there's no real earnings behind it yet. There's no real numbers. Like it's just pure speculation. But the point is that look, he just created a whole bunch of exit liquidity for his initial shareholders, because people don't realize, but there was a round, right? There was a round A, B, and C to all of this before they made these announcements. Right? Even when you have a SPAC, you still have all these internal rounds of investors. And these people, they're the ones dumping their bags right now, right? And they're dumping their bags to this speech, right? Which is...
Don't you see that in like most stock launches though, that like on day one, everything goes up, then it dumps like 40%, and then you kind of get like a realistic view of where it's going, you know? So I don't know.
Wolf of Wall Street, Madden shoes, Steve Madden.
Right? Steve Madden, exactly, right? Like, and believe me, I've bought so many stocks just because I remember I bought shares once upon a time of Heelys, right? You remember those shoes with the wheel in them? Man, I was sure it was going to be huge.
Back up.
What?
So if you bought shares, I imagine you own some.
Yes,
How many pairs of wheelies do you own?
I can't see. This is the problem with live. I can't just cut this conversation out.
Nope.
That's so terrible.
Right.
You didn't ask how old I was yet.
That's I know it wasn't that long ago.
Oh yeah, no. It was like I was in my 20s. It was really bad. But I was certain, right? Because I'm like, I don't understand much about what the kids are doing today. This seems really cool. It was a
new mode of transportation. Totally revolutionizing walking here.
That fucking stock took such a dump. Holy shit. Anyways. Okay. Yeah. See, look, Eastside Tony's talking about Jinko jeans. Yeah, I remember those, but see, at least.
Whoa. Let's bag it up. That's a cultural icon.
Come on. You can't bag on Janko and put them in the same class as Heelys.
No, definitely.
Janko is like a whole different thing. That's the real deal. That's the real deal. Okay. So yeah. Anyways, going back to the original conversation though, I have this belief that he is maybe going to do the right thing. I'd like to believe that he's going to incorporate Strike. None of this overshadows the fact that Tether, SoftBank, and Cantor Fitzgerald, which by the way, vouches for Tether, okay, and does their quote unquote audits. Just to your point, Greg, it just it's kind of like when you're staring over the edge at the abyss and it feels like it's pulling you in.
Look, I think Tether's going to get way, way bigger than it is today. And I think they're going to do it as a function of basically replacing the euro dollar market, but that's a different story. I think their solvency is fine. I don't worry about Cantor Fitzgerald. SoftBank is interesting because anything Japanese in finance scares the shit out of me. But I know Jack's a great CEO. I just worry about the wording he's using and the risk that he may not be actually speaking about.
Did you hear about the bull case for SoftBank? Here's why they're different. Okay, they're different because the CEO got wrecked when he sold Bitcoin. Right, so he's missed out on hundreds of millions of dollars. Right, so now he's come back to the table. So he's been humbled. So this time it's different. Yeah, this time it's different.
Question, Phil. Why do you think he will incorporate Strike? For what reason?
Essentially, because I'd like to believe that he wants to actually build a business where he can accumulate Bitcoin and reward shareholders for doing it. So that's why. Like, I believe that he'll incorporate Strike because it's an easy win for him to claim positive cash flow already. And that, in my eyes, I understand that they have 1/10 the amount, actually even less than 1/10 the amount of Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. But I think that if he does this type of stuff, he's going to be painting a much more resilient financial picture. So this is the whole thing, right? I believe that he's attempting to create a vehicle that will actually be able to hold Bitcoin and withstand market turbulence while holding Bitcoin. Whereas when you look at MicroStrategy is a very poor vehicle for holding Bitcoin. They don't actually bring in any money. He is extremely susceptible to market fluctuations. BlackRock's one of the biggest shareholders. I mean, in all fairness, I wouldn't be parking my money in that company. Not financial advice, but I'm not parking my money in that company. That's my point.
But like
there's a whole bunch of red flags.
My question is made because, like, as far as I know, Strike doesn't have custodial services. They don't hold their own keys. So,
they don't. But they're cash flow positive. I'm talking about this in terms of shareholders. I'm not even talking about this in terms of. Yeah. I'm literally just talking about this like it's like a snap on to the business to create cash flow. Large public businesses do this all the time when they're not able to actually innovate or create products that can create cash flow. They'll just buy a company that has cash flow and then tag it on, and then all of a sudden it just drops to their bottom line. So
if we pull this out into the future, right? And I mean, I guess MetaPlanet is doing something similar. No, I mean, we haven't mentioned them. I'm not sure if it's similar. If we pull this out into the future, and all companies are doing it, basically we're saying that like, Bitcoin is the new unit of account, right? And then what are we going to buy all those companies? I mean, isn't it just like, you can hold Bitcoin in cold storage, you can hold dollars in your piggy bank, right, as you do now, or you can invest it in the stock market, or like, isn't that where we're headed? Is that what we're seeing? Curious. Or are we going to analyze every company and be like, what they're doing is wrong and are companies inherently evil? I mean, for doing this, are we not for companies stacking Bitcoin? I mean, I'm not that. Yeah, of course we want to see people in El Salvador and people here in Indonesia stacking Bitcoin first before the companies. But
as I understand it, Marcus, like,
okay, hold on.
There's a one thing to have companies out there that are starting to buy Bitcoin and just put them like in their treasury or whatever, right? And it's another thing with companies like these that are specifically created to buy Bitcoin. That's the purpose, right? That they don't have another kind of purpose. Like, they don't offer something else. We are here and we are an entity just to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like saying in the fiat standard, I have a dollar company and I'm going to create more dollars per share for your share, but I don't do anything else. I'm a bank or what? Like,
but I mean, doesn't this kind of just raise the point that businesses just simply need to use it as a savings vehicle? Like, I mean, wasn't this the whole reason we were cheering on Michael Saylor? Like, this is kind of the point, right? Is that essentially it's like what is that saying? To a hammer, everything's a nail. So it's kind of this thing. It's like, okay, so all of a sudden all we got to do is buy Bitcoin. We don't even need to offer a product. We just own Bitcoin. So you know what? By that standard, guys, I'm a public company now. I'm a public company. You can own shares of Phil because why? Because I freaking
be your own company.
Right? Be your own company. Like fucking. But I just want to point out the comment from Inspiring Formulas, okay? Because this is the truth about the echo chamber, and this is what we forget, right? He said, "I don't even know any of this Mahler Saylor stuff. If it wasn't for shows like this, what the heck are you guys watching?" And that I think that's really important.
Factory, Pleb Underground, and then I think we all had a lot of vaccines as children.
Well, we were genetics. No, but in all fairness, right? Like he's not wrong because that's the truth, right? The mainstream, right? Like, and I'm not saying he's mainstream, but if you're paying attention to the more mainstream stuff, like they're not talking about this because it doesn't really matter. Like, in all fairness, until we have those big giant companies that that is total the definition of fiat, right? Which I mean, it's the way the world works. I think it's just going to be noise. It's just going to be noise for us. I don't know. Noise. All right. Any further thoughts before we move on? Because we have more bashing.
That comment reminded me of when I was just like entering the rabbit hole. I started on YouTube as well, and it wasn't until you started looking on Twitter and finding some of these talking heads and seeing who they are following, and basically Twitter or X. Like that's where you find your stuff, and you be your own journalist, your own researcher. Yeah.
I love inspiring.
It's out there. You just gotta dive through the cancer to find it.
I wanted to bring him on the show. I'm like, dude, you should come on the show and give your takes, man. Awesome. All right. Let's continue on. Here we go. Yeah, it's not a test stream. No, but it's because it's not their stream, Torup. Okay, anyways, relevance. I always forget to click on, so people know what we're talking about. Okay, let's move on here because there is more. There is more stuff to cry about always, and here we go. Let's cry about something else. Okay, we're gonna cry about this. Here we go. Magoo. More Twitter cancer. Here we go. So the Bitcoin CEO scoreboard. This is it's kind of
Oh God.
yeah. This is
shit.
one. Leishman
man,
running
it's
a
too
profitable
small on my
company.
little screen to read it.
Okay, I'm going to read it to you.
There's no love lost between those two.
Leishman running a profitable company with a Bitcoin reserve. Will Reeves from Fold, right, to company public and has strong Bitcoin reserve. Jack Mahler's running a profitable company and now heading up new venture. Corey Clipston running an unprofitable business with little to no Bitcoin reserve while being sued for shady business practices. Go. That's Magoo kind of has a bit of a hard on for Corey, huh?
They spar.
They spar.
They spar.
They spar. Okay, so look, I think that we should kind of share some light on that, like some fairness, right? In my eyes, and of course, I'm not the grand pumbaa of any of this stuff, but I think that probably Alex Leishman is maybe doing the best. He seems to keep his head down. He seems to stay out of the noise, and he seems to actually be building a company that has services that people are willing to pay for. Fold, on the other hand, which I've had Will on the show, and I do like Will, and I appreciate their product. They need to get bought out. If you ask me, they're going to be a buyout candidate. Some companies, when we were talking about snap-ons before for cash flow, someone's going to want to snap them on for Bitcoin. That's my take. Your thoughts?
I love Fold. They've helped me stack a fuck ton of Bitcoin that I otherwise wouldn't have had, like sats at a time now.
I mean, I spin the wheel, right? Not a scammer.
You buy the gift cards.
Buy the gift cards. Well, I spend the money. I spin the wheel. It works. It definitely works. But I just feel like when they announced that they were going public and they said they were a SPAC, I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, they can't go public on their own. And I just can't help shake that feeling. They're going to be a bolt on for somebody else. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean like the shareholders are going to be well rewarded and Will's going to do just fine. But I'm just saying I feel they're going to be a bolt on. Any thoughts on that?
Nope.
No.
No thoughts. No.
What company do you think would bolt them on? You think like a Visa or a MasterCard is just going to be like, you're mine now?
Yeah, kind of. I definitely don't see a Cash App doing it because they kind of already have that infrastructure. They're already kind of a fintech, kind of software thing. So I don't think they're going to care. So I do think it's going to be like one of the more traditional brands that's like, we want to be cool and let these Bitcoiners know we know what's up, kind of thing. So
it's going to be Diners Club. You figured it out for me. They're going to need to figure out their own relevance again. It'll be Diners Club. They're going to buy Fold. That's what it's going to be.
What about Discover? Discover buys Fold.
No, Discover's way bigger than Diners Club.
Oh, wait a second.
Plus, Diners Club was the first. They can buy this and be like, we were the first credit card. Now we've got the first Bitcoin card. That's a good story, right?
There's a good story. All right, we've got some pushback here from BTC Pins. Well, it's not necessarily pushback, but it's just, other side of the coin here. He's gotten more sats back from Strike. Remember the bit refill hack? Mm-hmm.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying Fold was been great for stacking sats. And yes, I do remember
that. Fuck you both. I'm in Europe, right? I never used those companies until recently.
It's like that. It's Americans and their credit cards. I'm getting money back when I buy something. Wow.
We like value, all right? It doesn't matter that the food you get is crap. What matters is that you get a lot of it. You want to feel that you got value for your money, okay? I want 6 pounds of pasta for $3. It doesn't matter that no one can eat it.
I want to feel like I ate cement for $5.
If I'm getting money back, that means I'm probably paying too much for the service in the first place.
No, and here the service provider is paying too much.
They got you, Greg. They got you.
And then we pay for it anyway on top of the food price.
Tony's right about the credit card points.
What was Tony's point?
He was just saying that we do it for the credit card points too.
Sweet credit card points.
Yeah,
bro. I hate those membership cards, bro. Like everywhere you go, you want to become a member. Oh, if you don't have a member, you won't get like the perks, dude. Like, yeah, you're basically telling me, right? If you don't want to give me your data, you're paying extra because that's what it is.
You don't want to finance this on Klarna and get your McDonald's points?
Fucking no.
Well, what's that product that we advertised last week?
It's super consumer unfriendly and so fiat.
The thing, so that we could split it up, so that we could.
Yeah, it was a play on Klarna. But,
it was so good. It was so good, man. I'd buy that product.
I'll find it in a second.
Well, speaking of products that you might not want to buy, we're gonna take a look at one right here while Greg figures out what that was. Shout out to
Lifestyle X Finance.
Yellow plushie. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. Nico Nixonaut tags us in good stuff. So I don't know if you guys saw this one, right? But imagine spending 1.25 million on a rare NFT, come back 3 years later. And for those that can't read that, it says the content has been restricted using service. So yeah, to the people that thought that they were actually somehow
someone finally cut and pasted it.
It was
fed into one of the AI's models.
They'll find it again. They'll find it again.
Generation now.
But I gotta tell you, those NFT stories, they just keep getting worse and worse. None of that shit worked out. I mean, none of us were surprised, but it's just kind of funny now. What's that saying about, what was it, Sun Tzu, the Art of War, where he was talking about, you wait down the river and then eventually you'll see all the, the bodies of your enemies. Like, I feel like we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing the bodies of these NFT holders swaying by.
You said it keeps getting worse. I thought, what's worse than just like zeroing out your bank account for good?
I just meant like more people keep showing these terrible examples of how they got wrecked. Like, it's like you thought it was over and all the people who got wrecked, but no, there's more.
But wait. We've got this product where if you give us your money, we'll make it more money. Don't ask us how we're going to do it, though.
Exactly. And what kills me is like that period with those NFTs, bro. Like the amount of screaming and the amount of noise on X, but I'm making so much money, and all these podcasts and these live streams with like 1,500 people in them, on Spaces and stuff. And like, where did all those people go? Like literally, like my whole timeline was like full of like these punk avatars and all these NFTs. It's like, and now the bodies, like you say, they're floating down the river, and like, where did all these people go? Like, where are those loudmouths, who are.
You're not getting paid to be loudmouths.
Oh my god, it's hilarious, and it to your point, Phil, it feels exactly the same now. Like when I think of Celsius and BlockFi, it was but I'm getting yield. He had what's the guy's name, Jason. Like with his gold wrestling belt for being like the biggest investor. And how much yield he's returning, and etc.
Going parabolic. Is that who you're talking about?
And going parabolic, yeah. And
Jason Williams, that's his name.
He's the worst.
Jason
Williams.
He's the worst. He's the fucking worst, bro.
I don't interact.
And then he'll pivot back to like Bitcoin is the king, and I love Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and now we've got like this whole MSTR. Like I'm selling my Bitcoin to buy shares of MSTR or MST Strife or whatever. It's
Feels the same,
I don't know.
Right?
And I know, right? It's like even at the time with like Celsius and BlockFi, I was like, yeah, but it's all backed. And I specifically remember that even God, now I forgot her name. Any very very
I
trusted
specifically asked you
person
not to bug me.
No, not you. She was even saying like, oh, and lending is taking off. So I was scratching my head, like, am I being an idiot? Obviously you're having FOMO too. If other people are making 15% on their Bitcoin while keeping their Bitcoin. And then in the end, you get rugged. And with MSTR, it's the same thing. Come on, man. It's Michael Saylor. You're going to keep buying. He's not a bad guy. It's Jack Mahler. He's not a bad. But in the end, bro, it's like that's not how Bitcoin was designed to hold your Bitcoin. So just fucking stay humble. Keep your
So
keys in cold storage, and you can't get wrecked. You know, and let's see what happens 4 years down the road. Yeah.
I gotta be frank that when Jack Mallers was explaining BPS, I was kind of laughing.
Yeah, Bitcoin per share.
Because I was imagining there was like a meeting somewhere, and they were like, "Okay, guys, let's see what MicroStrategy does." So Sailor is trying to maximize the fiat gains per share, right? But we're gonna come in and say we don't do that. We're Bitcoiners, so we're gonna measure that in Beaker. So Beaker BPS, like it's a new thing.
It's not a new thing, right? It's exactly what Sailor does, right? He has that
No,
metric.
I mean it's like it's the same thing, but like they flipped it and marketed for better for plebs to buy, you know? Like so plebs now that don't really get it will be like, oh, it's BPS, it's not like fucking dollars.
No, but you're absolutely right. And I mean, it's kind of funny because, you know, gold companies, right? Like gold miners and stuff like that, like they don't sit there and talk about like the gold per share. Doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. The gold per share. What's important is that they mine it, they sell it.
It's the value. It's a value. Yeah, what exactly? Yeah.
This is why it doesn't make sense.
They're putting gold on their balance sheets, right?
Huh?
They're putting gold on their balance sheets, and then they're using market forces to grow the gold on the balance sheet.
To me, it does make sense if we're going to think about moving to a Bitcoin standard and a Bitcoin unit of account in the future.
But that's the narrative, Marcus. Don't get it. That's the narrative they're selling. It doesn't make sense. It's like that's exactly in the belief that they're tapping in to sell you 21 now instead of MicroStrategy. Now we have BPS. It's not in dollars.
Well, that's the one thing that bugs me is that they're saying they're targeting like Bitcoin. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, I heard that somewhere, right? Is that correct, or am I making this up now? Like, so it felt like they were targeting Bitcoiners to sell their Bitcoin and buy their shit, right? And that's the only thing that bugs me. But if a company starts measuring their shares or their stock performance in Bitcoin terms, yeah, that makes sense to me.
I get that. I don't disagree with that, right? Like it's exactly like you're making you're drawing a line in the sand, right? And that makes sense, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that. With a company deciding that they start to value that they start to value their business in Bitcoin terms, right? Because essentially, we as Bitcoiners,
that's the currency to beat, right?
Right. We've even been saying that, like, it's like SAT's the standard. Well, you know, I mean, if you're sitting there measuring your wealth and how much Bitcoin you've accumulated, and it's not about fiat dollars, it's like, why are we going to be hypocrites about these companies? But to Yellow's point as well, right? It's like, yes, that is a narrative. And even though it is good for businesses to do that, in this case in particular, it's the carrot on the end of the stick. It's saying, listen, we're going to do this, but here's the story behind it. We're going to grow more of it, so you want to hold these shares instead, right? Like,
and also, I don't know if it was Magoo, but somebody also mentioned if you put your Bitcoin in there, there's no way of like getting Bitcoin out.
Wait, what? Putting your Bitcoin into what?
Into the what's it called? XXI.
Stop that, Greg.
No, you can't. All you could do is buy shares.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just all it is. So look.
Yeah, but you denominate it in Bitcoin. So so when you sell it or whatever, if you want your money out, you get back fiat, right?
Of course, you're selling shares. You're gonna when you buy those shares. That's a good question, Marcus. Like when you buy those shares, you're gonna be buying those shares on E-Trade and shit like that. Right. You know, so like they're not sending you Bitcoin. They're sending you're getting dollars. Like that's the other piece of this whole thing.
It's kind of like send me 1 Bitcoin, you get 1.1 back. Yeah, that's what they're promising.
Yeah, that's why they're giving you fiat, because they can't promise you that. Well, I mean, they could promise you that, but you know you're not going to get it. So
and you can only withdraw in Tether.
Pretty much. I mean,
basically, it's like they just automated the thing we all do when you put like your dollars inside Google and ask it like how much sats that those are, and gives you like the answer. And now you have that like ready to go. BPA. It's so funny.
To your point, it makes me think of the MNAV thing, right? Like last year, you weren't even hearing, 2 years ago even, you weren't even hearing about MNAV. And it's so funny. If you go grok that, it's specifically linked to finance and Bitcoin. Okay? So nobody cared, right? Nobody gave a shit about this. And then all of a sudden, we need some new language to describe this, right? Like if we're going to sell this shit to people, they got to start thinking in terms of this. The MNAV, it's like the business doesn't earn a penny. The business earns minus $60 million a year. What does it make a difference if it can't actually afford to hold that Bitcoin for 50 years? Who cares? Like, what does it matter? Anyways.
Anyway, we're old. Don't listen to us.
We're old. We're older Bitcoiners. The newer Bitcoiners, they're all excited. They're like, yeah, MicroStrategy is so good. Anyways, okay, all right. Speaking of things that people don't care about, and we're old, let's wrap it up on this this last story here. All right, here we go. Last story that we're gonna take a look at. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this. Yeah, I'm old and I'm having a hard time sharing the screen. There you go. That's what happens, huh? All right. So I put out
sharing our own tweets here.
That's right. That's right. Sharing our own tweets. I said many people don't want to hear it, but if the approved Bitcoin Circle jerk, which only promotes each other, isn't going to LARP about caring about your issue, then you will get very little attention. And it's funny. This tweet actually didn't do too badly. And who was I retweeting? TX Free Samurai, right? So 1 effing year. People talk about Sailor. We're not the same. We are not on the same side. Samurai Wallet has built a wallet for anyone focused on privacy, no IOUs, no number go up, just commitment to privacy. So the whole point of me showing this was really the Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin Twitter or whatever space we want to call this, used to be a place for signal. And it used to be a place where we would rally around worthwhile causes. I'm not going to say good causes because that shit is unfortunately sometimes subjective. So we'll say worthwhile causes. And nobody seems to give a shit about Samurai. Now, I've thought about this. I guess it's kind of me saying nobody. There you go. See, you just said who.
But
I'm
joking, bro.
No, I know you are. But it's, like that's the whole thing, right? Is it because their personas in social media is like that they're so tough and outcast that like people kind of like are just not paying attention? Like, should that even matter? Like, to me, like, look, I've had many interactions with different guys from Samurai. Some of them were good. Some of them were bad. I mean, whatever. To me, like, what mattered most was the fact that these guys were building a tool. And I'm not even going to get into the whole beef between Wasabi and Samurai because that is a whole other piece of drama all on its own that makes no sense. But for me, these guys were building privacy tools and they were working. And, like we're seeing all this cheering for all this other, let's be honest, low level bullshit. Okay. It's easy stuff to cheer for, but something like this gets no attention. Your thoughts?
You explained it yourself. The low
Well,
level
no,
it's easy to understand.
But do you think that's it?
And number go up, right?
Yeah, it's number go up. It's easy to cheer for. Samurai's like
anything to do with their attitudes? I'm not trying to
Also,
steer
just
that.
the technical stuff, right? A
agree.
lot of the technical stuff doesn't
Yeah.
get yeah.
I think for most folks who are into Bitcoin, it was a struggle to get that understanding done. And then you're putting a value proposition on something like Samurai Wallet, where now I have to go through another rabbit hole to understand why I should care about that. And I think they suffer from information density, let's call it, in order to understand their problem.
I can appreciate that. That's a very good point. Because in fairness, I did have to do a lot of reading to understand the drama, right? To understand the beef, to understand that these two companies were once upon a time one company. They were two guys working together. They separated and the beefs began. And both of them are the CIA, Mossad, FBI, all pointing at each other, you know, going like, you're all scammers, you know, and everybody's FBI and all this. And it's like, in my eyes, it scared me away from using those platforms. Not just Samurai, was Wasabi, Whirlpool as well. I was like, no, I don't want anything to do with these products because these guys beef so hard, you know, like. So maybe that's it. Marcus, Yellow, any thoughts on this? No.
Yes. As we said maybe a year ago, Phil, the whole thing is changing, and I feel like fewer and fewer people will care about privacy stuff and stuff like that, even self-custody. Bitcoiners coming in will be a little bit privileged, and they will want something for their Bitcoin. You know?
You talking about yield?
Yes, something, whatever it is. They will want something on top of it. Someone to give them something for it. It won't be Bitcoin won't be something for them that really struggle, and they will be struggling every day to keep it decentralized and in their self-custody. They will care more to someone to reward them for it, for just buying it. And buying it through another kind of service. It is what it is. Once again, let's become the criminals and the misfits. I don't care. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I mean, that's how I came to Bitcoin. I came to Bitcoin because I am a degen, and I was doing degenerate things, and those degenerate things led me to the most life-changing freaking thing ever. So, you know, kind of fuck everyone who thinks that degeneracy is so terrible all the time, you know, because for me it saved my life indirectly. Anyways, we're gonna wind it down. We're gonna wrap it up, guys. Any final thoughts here before we sign off? And I just want to thank everybody for joining in the chat and checking us out and talking with us and all that good stuff.
I just want to say that every day, unknowingly, somebody takes the biggest shit in the world that day. And don't let your hopes and dreams just be that. That could be you. That could be you one day.
Be extraordinary. Good messaging. That's Greg. Be an extraordinary shitter. Yellow, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck you too. Fuck you too.
That was a callback.
Oh, we lost.
Left.
No, it's okay. He's back. He's back. I'm not letting him go like that. I saw him. He was like double topped or whatever the hell was going on over there.
No, I would say what I say normally in every DSB space, which is it might seem complicated. It really is not. Like stack sats, hodl your keys. It's not that complicated, right?
Yep. That's a very good point. And just to add to that, if you want to use Bitcoin, you don't have to do all kinds of gymnastics. You literally, if you own a business, you can simply just accept Bitcoin. And then if you want, you can offer to pay people in Bitcoin. And if you choose, you can save in Bitcoin. It's really that easy. And then that's it. You're using Bitcoin. That's it. You're doing it. Marcus, any last thoughts here?
Bro, I'm gonna sound really cheesy, but I just loving having these spaces. Guys like you guys, we've been hanging around so long, and I just want to give a shout out to BTC Moon guy in the chat. I mean, he's always there. He's always on the same channels I'm at, and it's been more than 5 years at least. So I love it. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you joining me on this episode of Pleb Underground. It was absolutely awesome. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Don't forget to check us out on the audio-only platforms. I'm going to upload this tomorrow. It's going to be available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And, of course, if you decide you want to stream Pleb Underground some sats, check us out on fountain.fm. And believe it or not, we're actually on Nostr, and I finally got my Nostr Fountain profile connected. So, yeah. Guys, that's it for tonight. Peace.
Thanks for having us on, Phil.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take it easy, everyone. Cheers.